where your purpose is discovered and your destiny is fulfilled by grace.
Psalm 50, 14 to 15, it says, offer to God thanksgiving and pay your vows to the Most High. Call upon me in a day of trouble. Now it says offer to God thanksgiving. Now when I checked the Greek meaning of that thanksgiving, it actually meant sacrifice of praise. And so we can also say in this way, offer to God sacrifice of praise and pay your vows to the Most High. Call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver you and you shall glorify me. Now question is this, what does it mean? What does sacrifice of praise mean? We know what praise is. Praise is giving honor to God, worshiping him and blessing his name for all that he has done for you and all that he will do. But why sacrifice of praise? What does it mean? And the first thing we need to understand is that sacrifice of praise means that you cannot afford to praise God in the way that it doesn't cost you. As children of God, we must ensure that we praise God in a way that is costing to us. Because we want to get the best out of God and want to ensure that he finds us pleasing in his sight. And so that's why in book of Psalms, the psalmist said to us, offer sacrifice of praise to him continually. Not just praise, but sacrifice of praise. You know, it's very easy to praise God when things are going well. It's very easy to praise God when we feel protected by God. When God has been generous to us. It's very easy to sing praise and worship song to God when you just got your salary, or you just got a new job, or you just passed your exams. Because those ones are easy. But when we talk about sacrifice of praise, that means you're taking it to a different level. It means that your praise now is being offered when things seem not to be happening. Because every one of us go through that time when things seem not to be happening. And I can assure you, for me, in my finances, for example, things seem to be quiet. Now, there are triples of things happening, but they seem to be quiet. Now, this is the best place for me to begin to praise God. A time when things seem not to be happening. That's what we call the sacrifice of praise. You're not praising God because he has given you the money. You're not praising God because he has given you the child or the blessing that you're expecting him to give you. But you're praising him for who he is. For who he is and for who he is known to be. He is God. He is God. Now, of course, sometimes we go to, we feel sick and we don't even know what to do. We feel so sick and we feel as though God is not listening to us, not hearing us. That is a good example of when to praise God. Sometimes your marriage is going through a lot of challenges. That is the best time to begin to praise God. Sometimes your child seems to be behaving waywardly. I pray none of our child will, in Jesus' name. But probably your child is behaving in such a way that you don't really like, and you've been praying and fasting and you don't seem to see any answer from God. That is the best time to praise God. All the people that you borrow money from, they are chasing you at the same time, sending emails and texts and all the works, threatening you with lawsuits and all the work. That is the best time to praise God. That is what we call sacrifice of praise. Where you're going through pain, yet you can open your mouth and praise God. Now, the thing about it is that when you praise God, whilst you're going through a lot of challenges, it shows that you trust him. It shows that you believe in him. It shows that you know that whatever he says he will do, he will do. It shows that you are not perturbed by the challenges that surround you. It shows that you know that his word is true. And that is when God expects us to actually praise him. In fact, most of those days, or that time, that sort of time when you're going through that experience, and you're able to still praise God, God is actually watching you because he's testing you. He wants to see whether you're going to throw in the towel, or whether you're going to tell him that he's not a good God, or whether you're going to say to him that he's not doing well for you, or he's not a good. A good example is Job. Job was going through terrible experience. In fact, I'm not interested in that kind of thing that he went through. If somebody is there trying to show you want to have the same blessing Job have, and then go to this and say, no, keep it, I don't need it. He went through hell. All his children died in one day. And not just that, he lost everything he had in one day. And then he started falling sick. All his body boils all over. For those that have had boils before, one boil, just one, it will show you pepper. Imagine that boils all over his body. And to crown it all, his wife was not even telling him, Job, just curse God and let's just end this thing once and for all. Rather than getting encouragement from people around him, he started getting discouraged. It was so discouraged that even his friends came to console him. After a while, they also started discouraging him. And one thing that Job did is that Job held up his trust in God. He was pushed to the wall from every end. The devil pushed him to the wall. God's testing pushed him to the wall. His wife pushed him to the wall. His friends pushed him to the wall. His challenges pushed him to the wall. His health pushed him to the wall. But yet, it did not cause God. Of course, yes, he must have said one or two things that he shouldn't say. I'm telling the truth. If it was one of us here, he would have said more. But but he kept his cool. And then God watched him. And then in the midst of the Job went and still prayed for his friends. The Bible says when he did that, his situation turned around. And his latter days was better than his former. I'm praying that one of us will go through what Job went through. But peradventure we're going through some sort of experience that is pushing us to the wall. We will hold on our trust in God in Jesus' name. So that our latter days will be better than our former in Jesus' name. Now, of course, when it comes to God, your sacrifice must be special. Now, of course, many of us have sacrificed various things for people. I mean, I think it was last Sunday I was sharing that, when in Africa, when somebody's having his birthday or a big party, when they've blocked the road and all that, they will invite musicians to play for them. It's not like musicians in this part of the world where they don't even mention your name, they just sing and everybody dances and that's it. But in Africa, they have to mention your name. And they have to call everybody, everything that concerns you. They have to call your children, call your name that you don't even know you have. So that you can give them some money. And that's what we call praise. So, those ones are not sacrificing anything for anything. They're just praising so that they can get their money. But when it comes to God, we should do beyond that. Those guys, they sing and sing and sing and sing for money. But we should go beyond just singing and singing for what God will do. But we should give all our totality. And that's why when you want to praise God sacrificially, it goes beyond just singing. It goes into giving your time to God. It goes into doing even giving God resources, things that you have that you want to just give to God. It goes beyond just keeping to yourselves alone, going out of your shells for those that are introverted, getting out of your cocoon and going out to be a blessing to others. Because you want people to know that you have a God that lives within you, that they also should have experience of. And so sacrificing to God is bigger than just singing. Now, I'm going to round up on this. There are 3 necessities for sacrificial praise. 3 things we must keep in our heart, and then we'll round up. And the first one of the necessity is that God must be your priority in order for you to praise Him sacrificially. You cannot praise somebody sacrificially if it's not the most important in your life. God must be your priority beyond your money. God must be your priority beyond your career. God must be your priority beyond your studies, beyond your spouses as well. Some people, their money is their priority, their work is their priority. And so what that means is that instead of them coming to church, they rather go to work. Now, I do understand that sometimes that you have to manage that. Just I'm saying, there's a time you have to manage through that process. But in your heart, you must know that God, I'm doing this work on Sunday, not because I want to. It's just simply because I'm doing it for whatever, because you need to pay your bills, so you want some money, and so on and so forth. But when you have a chance to escape that circle, please escape. Because God must be your priority. You must let God know that He is your priority. You cannot just be saying it with your mind, it has to be by action. You must let God know that His priority more than your money by giving Him His tithe. You must let God know that it's your priority by giving Him offering. Though He doesn't need them. But He asks you to do it anyway. You must let God know that it's your priority by ensuring that you participate in the fellowship of God. Whenever God is happening, be there. Vigil, be there. Prayer meeting, be there. That is how you show that God is your priority. Because when you are not in those meetings, you are somewhere else. Now, God doesn't, one thing about this church, we don't even come for many events. Our events are very simple. We don't even have any event during the week. Just to, of course, we have prayer meeting. Just to ensure that people have their time. Because, you see, some of you came from some other churches, family from Africa. We sleep in church. I don't even know how we survive. How we normally survive, to be honest with you. I think I mentioned it before. Out of 7 days in a week, I sleep in church I think 4 days. At some point. 4 or 3 days. Most often than not, I'm in church, basically. That's what I'm doing. Sleep. I just go to pack my load, back to church. What I'm saying is that it's not even required in this place. The little time that is required, be there. Because see, when God calls for a meeting, He's waiting for you. That's what you do. You think, God doesn't know me. I'm small. I'm just a little child. He knows you. He knows your name. He knows your problem. He knows your situation. On Friday, I'm not easing anybody, I'm sure. Like I said, we pray for everybody. On Friday, we're praying some important prayers at the vigil. And I'm thinking about I told some people, no particular, they are not in, so it's not you. I told them to come because I know what is happening to them. I told them, come for this vigil. And then I text them when I was coming to say, are you coming? Oh, we're somewhere. I just thought. And then if something happened, they will say, God is not good. You are the one that is not good. Okay, sorry to say that. If God is calling your number, please pick up. Give God priority. That is how you show that you have Him in your mind and you're sacrificially praising Him as well. Now, the second point, talking about 3 necessities for sacrificial praise, is that you must equip yourself with praise tools. Say to the Lord, equip yourself with praise tools. Now, you'll be shocked that people don't equip themselves with praise tools. They said, I want to praise God, but they don't even have any tool to praise God. The only song they know is, Jehovah, you are the Most High. Jehovah, you are the Most High God. And the chorus, you are the Most High God. That's all. No song. But ask them, do they know all the songs of the secular world? They know them. They know all the secular songs. Name it. They know the verses. They know the stanzas. They even know sometimes they are singing. How many Christian songs do you know? They don't know much, but they know the other ones. And we say we want to sacrificially praise God. We're saying that God is our priority. We're saying that God is the one that I'm always thinking about. You're not thinking about God. You're thinking about the secular world. So you must learn these songs. Find them. The lyrics are online. Download them. Learn new songs. Because they are important. Go to praise concerts. My God, we're going to have one soon. We had our praise service last Sunday. Don't miss them. Ask them for lyrics. Because you've got to know how to do this thing. You have to know how to praise God with the tools to use to praise Him. I remember City of David back in Nigeria. We used to learn a lot of new songs all the time, and we're going to do that as well in this church. Now we're settling down. Once our members come from an holiday, we're going to do a lot of that. And to the point that our Pastor Scott is dead now. They will print all the booklets of different songs, new songs, practically every month. Because it's important. You see, you've got to show to God that you desire to praise Him. You've got to show to God that you're interested in praising Him. You've got to show to God that you're working hard at praising Him with new songs. And I'm praying that as we show, just before I even close, your phones. We all have digital state-of-the-art equipment that can upload songs into them. Most phones now should be able to take in songs. Most phones, maybe not all, because they say Nokia, You must learn these things. For me, you guys know, I have so many songs on my phone. In the car, I have a CD. So it's not a matter of, I don't drive, so I can't play CD. You've got the headphone. Listen to praise songs all the time. It will lift your spirit. It will cause you to hear God regularly. It will provoke prophecies. It will make God continually smile at you. It will make God speak to you on a regular basis. In fact, you'll be shocked. You're praising God. You're just going to work or going to your lectures. You're praising God. God will just speak to you. Something that's about to happen. Stop. You just hear God say stop. And then as you stop, you look on your leg, just say it can't just pass by. Because when you praise God, you hear God clearly. There is nothing as important as praising God. I'm telling you. Especially having a lifestyle of praise. A lifestyle of continuous praise. And I'm praying that Lord will help us to move to that level in Jesus' name. Last point. We're talking about 3 necessities for sacrificial praise. Last point is that you have to reorientate yourself on the place of worship or praise in your life. Basically, let me say it again. Reorientate yourself on the place of praise in your life. What that simply means is that ensure that you know where praise stands in your life. And the reason why you have to understand that is because praise or sacrificial praise in this case, prepares you for the ultimate, which is heaven. You cannot tell me that you are preparing for heaven and you don't have a lifestyle of praise. I'm not sure it's the same heaven you want that we're going to. Because 99.9 points, I would have said 100 because I just don't know what other things God has prepared for us to do in heaven. Though is in the Bible, we just need to dig it in. But majority of what we're going to do in heaven, we're going to be praising and worshiping God. Of course, we have other things to do as well, but that is the anchor. And you see, you won't even be a first worship or first praise. You'll be forced to do it. Because when you look up and see the glory of God, your mouth will drop. You just be saying, Lord, you're worthy. And then, when you look again, God has changed again into another form, into another beautiful glory. How many of you have been to a place that when you enter, especially this, I want to say abroad, we're already abroad. When you go somewhere, when you do and say, what? Beautiful. Those sort of things, those sort of experience. Imagine God, looking at God and seeing the beauty of God. In fact, from I don't know if I read it somewhere, I heard it somewhere. I think it was our John overseer that shared it. That when you're worshiping God, when the angels are worshiping, the reason why they keep worshiping God non-stop, 24 hours non-stop, saying, holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, who was, who is, and who is to come, is because they will look up again, especially when these 24 elders, they bow down, they drop their hand, they bow down. But then they lift up their hand, God has changed to another form of glory. And then they worship, they say, wow. They begin to worship again. They bow down again, they lift up their head again. Another glory. Imagine they've been doing that since before we were born. They've been doing that for time past. They're going to keep doing that for eternity. And yet, every moment, every time God's glory changes into a new, beautiful glory. And that's one of the things that makes people, fall in awe of God. And so heaven is a lovely place. And so you've got to begin to prepare to begin to worship and learn how to worship God. Because in heaven we're going to worship without distraction. We're going to serve without exhaustion. We're going to fellowship in heaven without fear. We're going to learn a lot of new things in heaven without fatigue. And we're going to rest without boredom. In summary, prophecy declaration of John. Okay, let me say, let's look at Psalm 50 again. We read in the beginning, we read just two verses, 14 and 15. But let me read from verse 1. Because this psalm talked about the righteous judgment of God. It kind of gave us a prophetic declaration of the things that will happen at the end time. Not at the end time, when we get to heaven, during the judgment time. It says in verse 1, Psalm 50, the mighty one, God the Lord, has spoken and called the earth from the rising of the sun to its going down. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God will shine forth. Our God shall come and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous all around him. It shall call to the heavens from above, and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Verse 5, he said, gather my saints together to me, those who have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Say after me, gather my saints together to me, those who have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Verse 6 says, let the heavens declare his righteousness, for God himself is judge. Verse 7, hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel. I will testify against you. I am God, your God. I will not rebuke you for your sacrifices or for your burnt offerings, which are continually before me. I will not take a bull from your house, nor goats out of your fold, for every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle on 1,000 hills. Verse 11, I know all the birds of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the fields are mine. If I were hungry, I will not tell you, for the world is mine and all its fullness. Verse 13, will I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats? Verse 14, now this is what we read earlier. Offer to God thanksgiving, which is the same thing as sacrifice of praise, and pay your vows to the Most High. Call upon me in the day of trouble, I will deliver you, and you shall glorify me. But see, where I'm trying to bring the attention to is verse 5. It says, gather my saints together to me, those who have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Those that God is going to call together towards him are those that have made a covenant with him by sacrifice. And that's why sacrificial praise is important. Because those that God will gather together in the last days are those that have always been sacrificing to Him on a day-to-day basis. Now, we're focusing on praise, but sacrifice cuts across. It cuts across sacrificing your time, cuts across sacrificing your money, cuts across sacrificing, your resources, sacrificing things that belongs to you for the good cause of God's kingdom. We want to evangelize. Sacrifice your time for Him. We want to buy something, for the kingdom's sake, because we want to use it to reach out to the unsaved. Sacrifice your resources for Him. Because God is interested in your sacrifice. Now, the good thing about it is that God is saying that if He were hungry, He would not ask us. He doesn't need our food. He doesn't need anything from us. He doesn't need even all the cattle. Those days in the Old Testament, they offer Him bullocks, goats, and all sorts of stuff. It's just a representation of what we are doing today. It's a representation of some sort of worship and sacrificial praise to Him. But today, He says He doesn't need any of those things. All He's asking for is a sacrifice of praise. And so, in replacement of the bulls, He needs a sacrifice of praise. In replacement of all the offerings and all the things that they normally, put on the altar and set fire on, He says, all I need is a sacrifice of praise. And so, beginning from today, I want to encourage us to begin to sacrifice sacrificially, praise God. Like we said, sacrifice of praise means you don't have what you're asking for, but yet you're praising Him. You haven't seen anything you need from Him, but yet you're praising Him. Your hand has not laid hold of that blessing yet, but yet you're praising Him. But may I say this to you, because you'll be thinking, if I sacrifice time and my praise to God, what will He do for me? He says in verse 15, as you're sacrificing praise to me, He says, and of course, as you're paying your vows, so if you make any vow to God, please pay it. He says, but in 15, He says, you will call upon me in the day of trouble. And He says, I, God, will deliver you. What that is saying is that as you have a lifestyle of sacrifice of praise to God, anytime you call unto heaven, God will send deliverance to you. The moment you lift up your voice to pray to heaven, He will send answers to you. He says, and you will glorify me. And so one of the greatest benefits of sacrificial praise is that there is nothing you ask heaven that heaven will not do for you. How be it, our General Messiah, for example, he has a lifestyle of praise to God. But one thing that we know is that there is nothing that the man will ask God that God doesn't do to him. And that's why we all go to Him for prayers. For all the events He invites us to. He waves His hand, anointing goes into any material that He lifted up. He says, my daddy says, He doesn't even pray. It will just say, my daddy said, there's somebody here, you have AIDS, your head is gone. And then somebody walk out and give testimony. It's a meeting after. I went to check, they said there's nothing in me anymore. The last festival of life of Wales, which were under the region that we're part of. A man, the Caucasian man, came. They had already given, practically they've told him he's going to die because he had cancer. They've already stricken him out and he was just on his way to, in fact, there's nothing else they could do, so it was just a matter of go home and just go and die at home. This man, he came for one of those meetings, I think it was one of those festivals of life. Of course, a word came, he received the word, and then today the man is still alive. He said he went back to check, they couldn't find anything. There was no prayer. He just heard the word. If the word came from the mouth of someone that has a lifestyle of praise. That's what I'm saying. There is no word you will speak. You don't have to be a pastor to speak a word that is potent. It just takes to have a lifestyle of praise. God will just be speaking. Remember the last time we talked about provoking praise through a prophecy. Prophecy comes when you begin to worship God, and then you'll be inspired. Holy Spirit will just tell you what to say. You see, what makes the difference is this. It's Holy Spirit telling you what to say at the right time. One day my wife wasn't feeling too well. I think it was I can't remember what it was. As I was praying for her, I was praying for her. As I was praying, I think I was waiting for what God wants me to say. And then the moment I just said what I was going to, I just said it. As I said that thing, bam, I knew that the anointing has been released. She also knew that something had happened. Praise can cause you to get the trigger. It can cause you to get the exact word to you. I've shared again here before. Pastor Shag will know, and the wife will know this guy, Pastor Kisalami. Some of you don't know him. Anyways, he's the CEO. He's the CEO of OTV. Okay. All right. Anyway, he's one of our ministers. So we're doing deliverance. People are just running around. People are screaming. I think I shared it before. Anyway, so one particular person was just rolling on the floor, rolling. We need a demon, very strong. Okay, not strong, but the demon was very stubborn. Come on. Go again. Come on. I'm just trying to paint the picture to make it sweeter. But anyway, we're surrounding this. Come on. So this guy just came. This minister of ours just came. He just came. And he just said something. One particular thing he just said. The demon responded. What I'm saying is that guy, God would have told me exactly what to say. And then he said it. And then there was response. There was result. What I'm saying is that praise is what brings those things to come to you. You're right in front of a panel. You want to be interviewed for a job. You don't know what to say. You don't even need to know what to say. The Bible says that the Holy Spirit, will teach you what to say. It will give you the very word at that very hour. But what will bring that very word at that very hour is not just you sitting and waiting. The Holy Spirit speak. No, praise to bring it down. And you're going to the you're praising God. You're just singing. Or put the music around there. Begin to worship God. You get into the interview. You sit down like they ask you a question. The answer you give them, they have no choice but to respond. They have no choice but to respond. And the life of praise also can cause you not to lose things that you've got. There was a job I was having. I had for a long time before I started working in church. And this job, there were about 40 of us that they were employed because we were students, we were studying, so it was more like a student kind of job, but it was a city job in Liverpool Street. And so one of my friends, they had sacked her. Some of you know this story. And somehow she came to me and said, they have sacked me. Normally when they sack you in the place, you normally work another 2 weeks because they pay us every 2 weeks. So the idea is that work another 2 and then just go. So but they will have told you 2 weeks ahead. So she came to me and said, they've sacked me today. I just told her, I said, you're not going anywhere. They can't sack you because it's not time for you to leave. I think I even asked, I said, is it time for you to leave? They said, no. So you're not going anywhere. Because we weren't just speaking ordinarily, we were speaking by the inspiration of God. Do you know that they sacked everybody in that organization 2 years after? They were only remaining 3 or 4 of them. She was one of them. But the rest they sacked. How they changed from sack to, I also had to leave. They can't sack me, obviously. God told me to leave. It was time that God told me to leave and I left. What I'm saying is that a lifestyle of praise will constantly hear God and hear the exact word to speak. Your son or daughter is not feeling well. Just tell them, no, I want to praise, but just give me a minute. Father, I give you praise. I give you worship. Begin to worship him. Father, I bless your name. As you're worshiping, God will just tell you what to say. The right word to use. You go back and say, in the name of Jesus, you demon of, if it's a demon operating there, God will just say the demon. And you just address the demon. In the name of Jesus, I command you to come out. And they will come out. But when you people are praying, they don't begin to do fire brigade. Some people, they start with praying, speaking in tongues when there's a problem. Can I encourage you? Start with praise. Start with praise. You know the story. Jennifer shared it. A couple, they were already married. I think they've already received the ring in the marriage ceremony. So they now went to one corner. You know how you go to one corner and then you go and sign the register, and then once they are doing that, people will be singing and dancing. Singing, dance. Usually they dance for a long time. So I don't know why it takes long for couples to come out. I think we do the same thing. Anyway, taking pictures. I think that's what normally delayed. They were dancing. Apparently, when they went to the back corner to go and sign the thing, one of the spouse died. Just fell down and died. The people outside they were still singing. What shall we do today? Today, they're singing. In fact, they'll go to another high pitch. They don't decide fire on the mountain. And they were praying. Warriors. I think it was a redeemed, redeemed. All the prayer warrior. Come out, wake up, arise. Use all the words, which one is there? Which one would you use? And somersault. Sorry, no, that's not, they said everything. That's why don't waste time saying the wrong things. And then somebody just say, hey, everybody stop. Jane Overseer taught us that if prayer doesn't work, praise will work. They just turn to praise. It wasn't long when they started praising. The guy that was on the floor just sneezed. What am I doing on the floor? He woke up from the dead. Praise is powerful. Praise will change any situation. Even if your enemies are at work against you, praise, like we shared the other day, praise can set confusion in your enemy's camp. They are planning to destroy your life, and you didn't even pray because you're oblivious of what they're planning. You're just praising in your own closet. Confusion will be set in their camp. Praise will cause chains to be broken off your hand without even you praying. Praise will cause hindrance to fall down before you without even praying. Praise is powerful. It will not only pray for heaven, but it will give you victory. several victories here on earth. That's where you have to learn how to praise. You've got to enjoy praising. You've got to place yourself inside praise. It's not easy, I won't lie to you, but we've got to make it a lifestyle. That's why technology has helped us. People are saying technology is not good, but to be honest with you, there's a better part of it because it makes things easier for us. Let your song, maybe what I'll be doing, inspection. One day, just everybody bring out your phone. Turn to iTunes or turn to your music section. Check. Okay, go. Next. Check. I don't mind doing it because it will help you. If I have to. The ones that I see, delete. Delete this one. Delete. And there's no musical one day. I pray the Lord will give us understanding. Take praise seriously. Because this is the last message of praise in this month. We're moving to next month with a new thing. But don't let this message just fizzle out. Let it be one of your most important messages. Because praise can turn your situation around. And I'm praying that after today, we'll all begin to see testimonies. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Let us rise up to pray.
Or connect with us on social media. You can also visit our website, gracehaven.org.uk.